About a week left to the campaign season in Malaysia before the country heads to the polls next Saturday. Many attractive topics have been brought up during campaign rounds to shore up support. But critical issues like COVID-19 and the government's handling of the pandemic have cast a harsh light on government infrastructure and few election candidates. Now, for more, Assistant Professor Syaza Shukri from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. She joins us live now from Kuala Lumpur. Good evening, Dr. Syaza. Thank you for joining us. About a year ago, the hashtag Kerajaan Gagal or failed government, that trended across Malaysia. How deeply did the COVID-19 pandemic actually impact the landscape for the political class in Malaysia?
All right. The interesting thing that we need to remember about Malaysia is that while we are going through the pandemic as the rest of the world, we are also we experience this political crisis, right? So what I'm saying is that it's difficult to really establish if the changes that we are seeing today politically is the result of the COVID-19 pandemic or the so-called Sheraton move. But regardless, without a doubt, following the past 2 years, the political environment in Malaysia today is so much more vibrant, so much more diverse, and the people now are more actively holding the government and politicians responsible. So this is where Malaysia is going at the moment.
All right, we'll talk about that vibrancy a little bit later on, but you wrote in 2021 about the inconsistency, the confusion over SOPs, as it were, that were taken by government on COVID measures. We know that there were several ministers who offended health protocols. They accepted some modest fines, but nothing compared with what ordinary citizens had to endure with devastating penalties. Tell us about the impact on public perception, this idea that there were double standards perhaps by the government. How far-reaching are they going to be in terms of impacting what we see with GE15?
Okay. Definitely, just like what you have stated, that there is the perception that the government mishandled the situation when people saw that there were a different set of rules for ordinary Malaysians, and then there's another set of rules for the elites. So the problem with that is it becomes difficult for the government to enforce the different SOPs throughout the different movement control orders because there were mistrust among the population. We did a survey that initially people were supportive of the government, but in 2021, the perception, the view has changed. So how this will impact what's going on today is people are looking to vote for Muhyiddin. Either way, actually, either they see him as being a good father figure for Malaysia during the pandemic, or there are those who definitely condemn him for some of these missteps.
Okay, very, very quickly before we go, will any one coalition, Dr. Syaza, benefit from this changed political landscape, from all the things that they've learned, and especially as we're looking at a changed economic landscape for Malaysia? Who's going to benefit from this?
If we relate it to the pandemic and the economy, I don't really think any coalition directly benefit from it because of what I said earlier, that there were issues from the get-go, even from the slow vaccine rollout, the SOPs that we talk about. But definitely the economic damage has been done. But the thing is that the Muhyiddin government, again, he provided some incentives, especially financial aid for the people. And there are those who are going to continue to support him based on this because his coalitions did promise to further give these handouts. So it's a bit 50-50 right now for all the coalitions.
We'll see how it pans out on the day of the polls. Thank you very much, Dr. Syaza. That was Dr. Syaza Shukri there speaking to us live from Kuala Lumpur.
And while we're talking about Malaysia, the latest snapshot of its economy ahead of its election, growth expanded by double digits for the first time in a year. Third quarter GDP rose 14.2% on year, beating estimates. And this was driven by robust domestic consumption and exports. Now, the economy accelerated from the 8.9% on year jump in the previous quarter. The strong GDP growth came off a low base last year, and that was when a movement control order was still in place to control the spread of the pandemic. Well, on a quarterly basis, the Malaysian economy recorded an uptick of 1.9%, also surpassing expectations, but it fell behind the pace of growth we saw in Q2. Hopes are pinned on Malaysia's border reopening to help ease labour shortages and lead a recovery in tourism. But economists flag challenges ahead, especially with tighter monetary conditions, slower jobs and wage growth. Business activity is also likely to be affected by weaker external demand and the uncertainties stemming from COVID curbs in China, which is Malaysia's top trading partner.